Good morning, everyone. I realize that 9 a.m. is incredibly early for many of you. So thank you all for being here. I am just thrilled, and I think this is just another indication of how important this conference is for a wide segment of the Harvard community and many people beyond Harvard as well. I'm, of course, delighted to be here. I have to tell you, this is the 8th HILT conference, and I have not missed one of them. And I can only say that I think about commencement. It's the only other thing I attend every single year. And let me just say, commencement, I have to be there. Here, and I do love to be there too. But this is something I really look forward to for truly unique reasons. Part of this is my role. I'm the chief academic officer of the university. If that concept has any meaning in the Harvard context, I'm not quite sure. So I'm responsible in many ways for the education across the university. At least I will be called to task if we don't perform, even though we all know that responsibility is extremely widely distributed. I'm also for connecting the schools with one another, drawing all kinds of connections across the university and the different units of the university that are not necessarily schools. For example, the library and the art museum, which both play big roles in pedagogy in the university as well as in research. This conference is a great match to those responsibilities. This is all about education, and it's all about making connections, and it's been extremely successful in both regards over the years. Every year, the attendees of this conference have found that we all have a lot to learn from each other. There's all kinds of exciting work going on around the university. We have some channels to learn about what other people are doing. But I doubt that any other channel is as consistently as effective as this conference is for drawing people together and learning from each other. Let me say also that I think this year is an especially important year for considering education at Harvard and how we can improve it. Now, some of you know I say something like this every year, but I really mean it this time. So, first of all, liberal education is being questioned in ways that have not been quite as true in the past. It's not new, but the intensity is new. The actual value of higher education is being called into question by broad segments of the American population in ways that were not true 2 or 3 years ago. That's something that we all need to be very much aware of. There are particularly concerns about how higher education and education in general prepare people for a future where work is certain to change, and it's changing now at a very rapid pace. How will we prepare the graduates of Harvard, the graduates of other colleges and universities, the graduates of our high schools for that matter, for a future characterized by rapidly increasing automation and the need to be able to gain new skills quickly, to change jobs as work requirements change over time. And the one thing that we can be sure of is that work requirements are going to change with a rapidity that we have never before seen. So how do we prepare our students for this highly uncertain future? There is no more important time to ensure that we are educating everyone in our community in the best ways possible. This is not a time for complacency, and I know that there is not a single person in this room who is complacent about the future of education at Harvard and elsewhere. That's what this conference is all about. Some of you, many of you have heard me say this before. I'm often asked that what was my greatest surprise about returning to Harvard as provost 8 years ago, after having spent almost all of my academic career on the faculty at Stanford. And my answer has been consistent, starting from about my second year, And that is, I have been surprised at how widespread the deep dedication to teaching and education is in our community. I don't mean to imply that everybody is deeply dedicated, but let's be realistic. We attract people who take on too much all the time. That's how you all got here. We are as overcommitted a community as you could find, and our faculty are deeply involved in research. The amount of attention that they pay to teaching, given how many other demands there are on their time, is truly extraordinary. And this is not only about faculty, this is about many, many people throughout our community. The genuine dedication to teaching, I think, is extraordinary. You can't expect to see every single person be a great teacher. But the effort, the attention, the enthusiasm for teaching is simply extraordinary. That is what has surprised me, that people will make a point of carving out so much time to improve the educational experience here. And let me just add that, as I mentioned this last year, the innovation across our university in teaching and approaches to curriculum is truly extraordinary. And that's happened in recent years and is continuing now. To name just a few schools, we have the recent change in the gen ed curriculum for the college, which is one of the most visible changes. And Amanda Claybaugh, who I saw over here, should take a lot of credit for the successful execution of now the first year of the new gen ed curriculum. The medical school introduced a new pathways curriculum within the last 5 years. We have in the law school a major curriculum reform effort that's underway. In recent years, the business school created the field program, which is an overseas hands-on business experience that's complementary to the classroom education. The ed school is revamping its master's programs. I could go on and on, but there is just so much activity here. It is truly extraordinary, and these are not minor tweaks. These are major reforms that we're undertaking. We are not standing still. Let me just briefly make a few comments about peer learning. Peer learning is ubiquitous here and elsewhere, and I think we all know that so much of the future in education is about peer learning, even if it's not called peer learning. Think about hybrid courses, what we're doing using online materials in the classroom. A lot of that is to facilitate discussion among students, recreating what have been some of the most powerful educational experiences we offer. I taught a course for many years at Stanford Business School where the centerpiece of the course was a project conducted by teams of 4. The students in the course came from different backgrounds, and there were predictable problems with grading, for example. If you had a team of 4, how did you know who did what? Sometimes there are big disparities in the effort they put forward. We dealt with that. We didn't have perfect solutions, but the reason we put up with the problems is that the rewards were just extraordinary. The amount that they learned from each other was simply extraordinary. And that extends also to non-group projects. Here at Harvard, I teach a freshman seminar on health reform and understanding the big challenges to health policy. And although the projects are individual, the students critique each other, and they're able to do that in a way that I, as a faculty member, can't. It's complementary to the kinds of feedback I provide, but it is interpreted in a different way, and it's often much more germane to the big issues that the students are dealing with. We are all familiar with the power of peer education, and I'm delighted that we'll be talking about that today. So I want to wish you all a great day working, discussing these issues, but before I turn the podium over to Dustin again, I just want to thank a few people. First of all, a huge thank you to Rita and Gus Hauser, whose generosity made HILT possible in the first place. And these are not passive donors. They have very strong feelings about what needs to be done with education. Rita made some memorable comments at the very first HILT conference, saying that we needed to burn down the existing educational edifice and create something totally new. Larry Bacow at the time said that universities live for a long time because they evolve. I don't know where we fit on that spectrum between evolve and burn it down, but we have definitely moved since then, and I know that Rita has been very happy with what's been done through HILT. So this is an extraordinary, extraordinary gift that made what we're doing possible. I want to thank Parath Anand, the Vice Provost for Advances in Learning, who has now completed his first year in the position. As you all know, he has done extraordinary work in many domains here, having a huge impact on the university. And I think he would admit that his success would not be possible without the Deputy Vice Provost for Advances in Learning, Dustin Tingley. Dustin is an extraordinary leader and I have to say visionary, truly, who is doing so much in so many ways to change the face of education at Harvard. And for those of you who haven't tried it, you should definitely check out Link, his latest project that's been released, which provides targeted links to you for seminars, all kinds of things you might be interested in, including identifying people who are potential collaborators for you. Extraordinary work. He oversees HILT and the research component of VPEL and does an extraordinary job there. This also would not be possible without the truly extraordinary HILT team more generally, and I want to thank everybody on the HILT team for making this conference and everything else HILT does possible. So enjoy the day, make the most of it. Thank you for taking the time.